Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over Tesla. We are at their newest service center slash delivery center here in Utah, and well, we've got a lot of exciting news for Tesla, but this thing is absolutely massive. And so with that being said, before we get into the video, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Well, first off, before we officially start the video, I have to exit the premises right now because I don't think I'm technically supposed to be here. So here's a quick look at the building though, by the way, so you guys can see that. Again, it is massive. Like this, there's a delivery slash, oh, someone's coming over here. So we're getting, there is a service slash delivery center in Salt Lake, and this one is so much bigger. Like it is crazy the rate that Tesla is expanding. And I think that person's following me. So yeah, I wasn't supposed to be there, but you know, we got our thumbnail, we got our stuff in, and now we are leaving. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. We got it. You always have to do everything you can for the thumbnail, for the YouTube videos. To set the stage for this video, let's go over some statistics. So year to date, Tesla is up by over 77% compared to last year with their sales figures. So last year, they were at about 228,000 cars delivered at this same time. And this year, they're at over 281,000 cars delivered. So a massive increase. And almost every other automaker right now is actually in the red this year in terms of cars delivered. So while everyone else is selling fewer cars, Tesla is selling more cars. Now, there are some exceptions. Right now, Chrysler is having a killer year. They're somehow selling more vehicles this year. And then Genesis, which I need to make a dedicated video to Genesis because that's its whole, unique situation. But I mean, we really have to ask ourselves, what is Tesla doing that all the other automakers aren't doing to make it so that they're positive this year, whereas everyone else is definitely struggling? First big reason is that Tesla has handled the whole supply chain issue a little bit better compared to other automakers. Now, something that does need to be stated is Tesla is still selling far fewer cars compared to, some of the largest automakers here in the US like Toyota, Ford, and General Motors. Those companies are selling in the millions here in the US, whereas Tesla is selling in the hundreds of thousands. But if you look at Tesla's worldwide sales, they're probably going to sell over 1 million cars this year worldwide. And so, they're still a massive company and they need a lot of supplies. And so that's the first thing that Tesla's done a really good job with, is making sure that their whole supply chain is rock solid. And then on top of that, a lot of parts that go into their cars are built by Tesla. Most other automakers basically buy parts from a bunch of different companies and then put them all together and then call it a car made by their company, whereas Tesla builds a lot of components that are associated with their vehicle. And so having everything in-house really helps out in a time where there are labor shortages and where there are supply shortages, because they have a lot more control over their supply chain. Another thing that's really helping out Tesla is the fact that they sell electric vehicles, and the electric vehicle segment is rapidly growing, and it's still pretty much in its infancy in terms of how large it will ultimately be. And so as this segment grows, Tesla is naturally going to grow with it because they're the biggest player in the segment currently, and we'll talk about if that's going to continue into the future. But I feel like the sales month of October really shows this, because in October there's been a massive pullback by a lot of buyers because of increased interest rates and because of a lot of price increases that automakers have rolled out and just the general state of the economy. But Tesla's still up in October by over 30%. Now, that's obviously not as much as their rolling average of over 70% year to date, but being up by over 30% in a really crappy month just shows how much demand there is for Tesla. The next thing that's really helping out Tesla is the fact that they have a really streamlined production process. And I'm not talking about like the whole automation side of things and their super factories, rather gigafactories. What I'm talking about is the fact that they only sell 4 cars: the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model S, and the Model X. And none of these cars have gotten a full redesign since they were initially released. And so what this means is Tesla has had a lot of time to get really good at producing these cars in higher numbers. numbers. And on top of that, there's not a lot of different paint colors for you to choose with these cars. There's not a lot of different interior options. Like, everything's pretty uniform. Tesla is taking the approach that, well, Henry Ford took when he was making the Model T, right? Except, you know, at least they're doing more than just black. But the point being, when you don't have a lot of different models that you're producing and you don't have a lot of different color options, and I mean, like, just look at any of Tesla's cars, like, they all look the same. It means that you're going to be able to get really good at just mass producing these things, and Tesla has shown that. There are a lot more reasons as to why Tesla is so successful, but I don't want this video to be like 3 hours long, so I'm going to make one more case as to why Tesla is so successful right now, and then we're going to dive into Tesla's future. So another huge reason is because there's a ton of hype behind the brand, and hype equals money. And I think a really good way to show this is to talk about stocks. I know, really exciting. So with Toyota, over the last 5 years, their growth rate has been just over 11%, and their price to earnings ratio is 10.49. Now Ford, another huge automaker, their growth has been just over 7% in 5 years. Their price to earnings ratio is 6.0. Tesla, in the last 5 years, has had over 1,000% growth, and their price to earnings ratio is 70.4. And so what this means is that Tesla has had a massive cash injection put into the company, and it's kind of like one of those self-fulfilling prophecy things where everyone thinks that Tesla's going to be really successful, so they all, you know, throw their money at it, and then because everyone throws their money at it, Tesla then can use that money to become successful. Now, it does need to be stated that if Tesla had crappy leadership, then, well, the money would have gone to waste, but the money hasn't gone to waste because they have massively scaled up their operation. They have like the best charging network in the US. They have amazing manufacturing plants. Like, there's a lot that Tesla has going for them because of all this cash that has been injected into them. And so, I mean, people, I don't want to dive too much into the stock side of things, but I mean, with the price to earnings ratio that's that crazy, like, Tesla's obviously way overvalued, but this obviously gives Tesla the ability to grow into some pretty big shoes, whereas other automakers do not have, like, they don't have that, because if we look at the example of Toyota and Ford, like, their price to earnings ratio so much smaller, so like, they've got enough cash on hand to just keep doing what they're doing, not scale up on the level that Tesla is doing. Now, when it comes to Tesla's future, I want to look at this completely objectively. I'm not going to be looking at this through the rose-tinted glasses of a Tesla owner that's constantly sniffing their own farts and thinks that anything Tesla is going to go to the moon. So here's the deal. Tesla is the biggest name in the EV world, and the EV world is continuing to grow. So Tesla will continue to grow. But we're pretty much at peak Tesla when it comes to market share and not necessarily volume, but market share in conjunction with volume. So Tesla has about a 70% market share in the EV world, and they're selling, you know, close to 1 million cars per year. And that's pretty much the top with what we're going to see when it comes to market share, because a lot of these other traditional automakers are now releasing EVs, and they're slowly taking slices out of the Tesla market share pie. Now, that doesn't mean that Tesla's not going to continue to grow, because the pie is getting bigger. And so Tesla will grow with the overall EV market, but, you know, their dominance in the EV market is not going to stay. It's just going to continue to get smaller and smaller. And so I see Tesla becoming just another one of the, you know, large American automakers, just like Ford, just like General Motors. And so I think it's pretty realistic to say that Tesla's probably going to be selling somewhere in the 2 to maybe 4 million car a year range. Not everyone's going to own a Tesla, because there's a lot of people that can't get past the styling. They can't get past, you know, the interior. They can't get past how the car drives, especially when you compare how a Tesla drives to a lot of these EVs that are coming out of traditional automakers. Like, Teslas are really good, but there's a lot of other EVs that are better. I think a really good example is like the new Ford Mustang Mach-E. Not only does it look better than any Tesla that has been released, it drives a lot better. Now, does Ford have Tesla's charging infrastructure? No, they don't. And so there's still a pretty big case to be made for why you should purchase a Tesla now and wait to purchase a Ford Mustang Mach-E in the future. But the point that I'm trying to make is we're getting a lot of really good product from traditional automakers that really know how to make cars. And this is the thing that's going to hurt Tesla the most, is the quality of their vehicles. Now, Tesla doesn't officially release like recall numbers or anything like that. And I mean, everyone's kind of said the reason they don't is because they have a lot of recalls, they have a lot of issues with their cars, and whenever their owners basically, independently report recalls to, places like JD Power or other sources that try to figure out car reliability, it's pretty bad. Like, it's worse than a lot of the other automakers currently, and it makes sense because Tesla's on the cutting edge of technology, so they're going to have problems. But once we have like a huge shift towards EVs where the average person owns an EV, then Tesla is going to have to bring up that quality, or they're going to not only lose market share, but they're also going to lose volume to other automakers, because why would you buy a Tesla if you can buy a better car from another automaker, especially when the charging infrastructure in a few years is probably going to be just as good for traditional automakers as it is for Tesla currently. That's pretty much going to sum things up for our video on Tesla. I want you guys to let me know what you think about Tesla and what you think is going to happen with Tesla in the future. And like I said, I think Tesla has a really good chance of being cemented as one of America's major automakers. They just have to get over a few hurdles, and the biggest one is going to be quality control. And I can tell you, I see this in real time when I go out and review Teslas. Like, there was a point this year where I thought that I should just quit reviewing Teslas because I was sick of dealing with all of the glitches with the cars when I try to review them. Like, for example, doors not opening properly, or just not opening at all, or hatches not opening. And it wasn't like I wasn't using the feature properly. It's like the feature just plain old was not working, or like glitches with their, self-driving systems. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that they need to work out. So I think there should be a big focus on that. And something that a lot of people don't talk about is Tesla needs to redesign some of their cars. Like, they keep promising they're going to release new models, which is great, but also they are taking way longer to actually release those models. But at the same time, they also should give some love to like the product they currently have. Like, we should probably see a redesign on the Model S and the Model X. Like, those are getting really old, and the Model 3 and Model Y at this point are starting to also get old again, especially when you compare it with some of the other EVs that are coming out in the market. It's like you get in the Tesla, and Teslas inherently have like a futuristic feel to them, but again, they're starting to feel old and dated. And it's like, why buy a new Tesla when you're getting the same car that was being sold like several years ago? Again, it just doesn't make any sense. So I think that's another thing they need to do, is start redesigning their cars. Anyways, I'll see you.